is a great school called Code to Inspire. I think it's Code to Inspire. How many of you heard of Code to Inspire? Great. You know about Code, the girls in Afghanistan. There's also the girls in Afghanistan. What is happening here? Code to Inspire. These girls are actually trained to code. They're trained to blog. And there's no notion of PayPal. They're remunerated in cryptocurrency. They're remunerated in cryptocurrency. And think about the algorithm. I could actually start to now build an algorithm such that I would actually have a reputation to give them. A reputation on whether or not we could give them a loan. And so on and so forth. So there's this very interesting notion of what we're thinking about. And with it comes identity. Now, I pause on identity because I think we need to. When I was at the UN on May 20th, there were government interventions, and there were also private and civil interventions on this notion of identity. You have how many identity cards? You have a social security number, you may have a passport, you may have a student ID number, you may have a driver's license, you have something. You wake up one day and you don't have that. So they started out with this notion of Mina. How many of you have heard of the story of Mina? Mina was a film, actually it's a true story, it's a film that Lucy Liu actually documented. And Mina's a girl out of India, was born in a village, 9 years old, she is sold to a brothel. She has no identity. And by the time she was, I think, 15, she had 3 children. So how do you deal with human trafficking is the real question. How do you prove her identity? She was actually saved by one of the NGOs. This is the identity issue. And when time came when she wanted her children back, she couldn't prove that she couldn't prove who the father was. So those children are still stuck in the brothels. So how do you prove that? How do you solve for that? And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, probably two blocks away, you're having human trafficking problems today. In the United States, it's very common. More common than you think. The other part is, where are you from? Boston. He wakes up one morning, it's bombed. And it's bombed, it's a war. He has to leave. What do you leave with? You leave with something, but he can't prove that he graduated from a university. Right? So digital identity, and then there's the whole notion of what I choose to share, how I choose to share it with you. That's the proof case is, could I go through immigration here? They would have a notion of where I was from. They would. So we think you're from the United States. And could I board a Virgin Atlantic plane and pay in cryptocurrency? Now, big implication here is that you're challenging sovereign identity. That's really the big discussion people have been talking about. Is that so far off from reality? Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at Estonia. It's happening today. They're doing it. You can get an ID card from Estonia, and they're using blockchain. So lots of things to be able to think about in this world. The other notion is value creation. Whatever you do in your job, in your new careers, understand the notion of value. People will ask you, what is the value creation? What are you doing it for? Is it smarter services? Is this notion of X as a service and some notion of blockchaining in a platform? So you can see now the new models. When we talk about building a humanized internet, we're talking about it's your freedom. It's your basic freedom. It's your human right. I used to call this freedom as a service until somebody said, freedom is a human right. It is your human right. And it's really your human right to do what you want, when you want, and how you want. The cards. And people are thinking about this problem. So here's another thing to look up. ID2020.org. ID2020.org. There's a whole Web of Trust GitHub environment. There's papers involved in this. We have designs that we're looking at. We are trying to solve today for the big, 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 big problems. So this is not ethereal. This is real. And we are inviting you to participate.